Hello students, today we'll be learning about adjectives, chapter 7. First of all, let us look at the definition of adjectives. An adjective modifies a noun or pronoun by describing, identifying, or quantifying it. So first of all, we have to understand that if you want to talk about something, if you want to express your feelings or you want to express what you see to a person or a thing, we use adjectives in grammar. So first, it modifies a noun and a pronoun, and also it describes about it, it identifies, and also it quantifies it. So when we say quantify, it means it describes about how much or how many they are. To understand, let us look at the examples. They live in a house. House, as we know, is a noun. But how do we describe the house? We write, they live in a beautiful house. So beautiful here acts an adjective to the noun house. Another example, Lita has a doll. Lita has a pretty doll. So we know that Lita has a doll, but a pretty doll. Next, let us discuss about kinds of adjectives. So in the book, there are given 6 kinds of adjectives. First, let us start with quality. When we talk about quality, we're talking about how good or how bad the thing is. So for you to understand, let's look at the examples. Jack is a soldier. We all know that he serves in an army, but what kind of a soldier he is? Jack is a brave soldier. So it talks about the quality of a soldier. Another example, Sam is carrying a bag. We all know that he's carrying a bag, and remember, a bag is a noun. So how do you describe about the bag? Sam is carrying a heavy bag. So we know that by using adjectives, the bag describes about what kind of quality is the bag. Next we have number 2, quantity. So remember, quantity is nothing but how much you can count, countable and uncountable. So let's look at the example. Lisa had some biscuits for breakfast. In the first sentence it says Lisa had some biscuits. Biscuit is a noun here. Therefore, to add how many there are, to add a quantity, we use the word some. Another example, Lisa has little idea about fishing. So here we know that we are using the term little here. So little here it talks about either it can be 2 or 3 or maybe 4. So it talks about the quantity of the adjectives. And number 3 we have number. So in number we all know 1, 2, 3. They're all countable nouns. So let us look how do you describe it in an adjective. Example, Sam found 2 balls in the jungle. So remember, balls, they can be 2 or 3. So here in order to specify it we use number, that is 2, which is countable. Another example, not many students came for practice. In this example we use many, so they can be 10 or they can be more, so it is uncountable. So either way we use number adjectives for countable and non-countable nouns. Next we have demonstrative adjectives. So in order to understand demonstrative adjectives, it identifies a noun or pronoun expressing its position as far or near. Okay? So in order to understand that, let us look at the example. This boy found a 100 rupee note. So in this sentence, it talks about a particular boy. Remember, boy here is a noun. Therefore, it talks about a particular boy, that is this boy. Next we have that lady looks worried. So here also lady here is a noun, and that describes about the lady. So we are talking of a particular noun or a person, that is a lady, and no other person. Therefore it demonstrates about a noun. Number 5, we have possessive adjectives. We all know what is the meaning of possessive. We have done this in other chapters. So a possessive is nothing but which you own or which other people own. So let us look at the example. Mr. Sharma is my father. In this sentence, father is a noun, and my it describes about a possessive behavior. So if you're talking about whose house or whose pen or whose copy it is, you always use possessive adjectives. Another example, when is your car coming? So here car is a noun, and your talks about whose car you're referring to. So if you're talking about your friend's car, you have to say your car. The last one, we have interrogative adjectives. In this kind of adjectives, as we all know, interrogative is nothing but question kind of sentences. So when we use interrogative, we use the words like what, whose, whom, all those things. So let us look at the example. Whose bag is inside the bus? So here, bag is a noun and it's talking about whose. So it's asking a question. Therefore, you can use interrogative adjectives when you're asking a question about a noun. Next, we have other kinds of adjectives. So in the first box, it is given proper adjectives. Remember, proper adjectives is nothing but proper nouns. For example, name of a city, name of a product, name of a company. All those things are proper noun and they always start with a capital letter. So let us look at the definition. It is a word that modifies nouns and pronouns and is formed from a proper noun. Okay, for us to understand, let us look at the example. Pasta is an Italian food. So here we know that Italian food is a proper noun and it talks about pasta. So in this sentence, in this example, it talks about a particular food that originates from Italy. So it is known as pasta is an Italian food. In the next box, we have adjectives of numbers. So there are four kinds. Let us deal with the first one, cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers or exact numbers which can be counted. So when we talk about cardinal numbers, it's which you can count, from 100 to 1000, all those things. So with that, let us look at the example. Ramesh took 40 rupees for the picnic. So here we know rupees is a noun and there 40 is being underlined here. 40 is nothing but cardinal adjectives. So here we know that it is countable. We can count 1 to 40 easily. Second one, we have ordinal numbers. What are ordinal numbers? They are order of rank arranged according to the size or position. So when you want to describe about a person who got first or second or third, we use ordinal numbers where they are kept according to their rank. They are especially used in army where it comes a captain and all the officers and so on and so forth. For that, let us look at the example. Liam got first position in the competition. So we know that he got first, he did not got second or third, he got first. So they are arranged, they are ranked according to the size or position. The second example, Sham got second position in debate. So we know that Sham, he got second, he did not get first or third, but he got second position. Therefore, it talks about the size or the position of the person. And the third, we have indefinite adjectives. What are indefinite adjectives? They are which cannot be counted, does not denote exact number. So if you are not sure, but you know it is there, we call it as indefinite adjectives. Example, there are some sweets left on the table. So here sweets is a noun and we add the word some. So we know that there are sweets in the table but which we cannot count, but you know it is there. So we use the word some, so it describes which cannot be counted or which cannot be specified in particular. The last one, we have distributive adjectives. So distributive comes from the word distribution. So it means when you give to each one of them equally. For example, it is your birthday, you give each of your friends 2 sweets or 3 sweets each. So it's called distribution. So how do we understand that in grammar? It refers to each one of the number without missing out anyone. Okay. Example, you must clean each books from the shelf. So here in this sentence, books is a noun and before a noun comes each, which is distributive adjectives. So here in this sentence, we see that each of the books have to be cleaned. None should be left out. So nothing is missing from the action. In the last box, we have called emphasizing adjectives. So what are emphasizing adjectives? It means laying stress or importance to a noun or pronoun. Okay. In order to understand that, for example, when you want to describe what you saw in a very detailed way, we call it in grammar emphasizing. Let's look at the example. He arranged the entire party with his own efforts. So here it comes after the pronoun called his. Okay, the word own. So here it talks about how he arranged the party with his own efforts. He did not have any help. So you're laying stress on this pronoun, which is his own efforts. Next, we have degrees of comparison. So when we talk about degrees of comparison, that means you're comparing one thing with the other. Okay, so same with grammar, we have adjectives have 3 degrees of comparison. Okay, we have 3. The first one is called positive. For example, Joy is a tall boy. We all know that he's a tall boy. There's no one to compare with. Okay, that is the first stage. And the second one we have comparative. Okay, Manu is taller than Queen. In this sentence, we see that the comparison is going on between one object and the other object. Okay, Manu is taller than Queen by adding suffix er to the word tall. Okay, and in the next one, we have superlative, which is the highest form of comparison. Okay, Arun is the tallest of the 3 boys. So here in the word tall, we add a suffix est at the end of it. So we know that Arun is the tallest, and there is no need to compare with other kind of boys. Okay, other examples for you to understand degrees of comparison are small, smaller, smallest, dirty, dirtier, dirtiest, beautiful. Remember, after beauty, FUL is already been added. So how do you use it in comparison? You write more beautiful or most beautiful. Next we have good, better, yes. Now let us go down to correct use of adjectives. There are so many adjectives that we use to express, to, uh, uh, to explain ourselves. Okay, some of them they're given here. Let's look at the first one: some, any. So similarities between some and any. Both can be used before countable and uncountable nouns. So when we talk about countable, means which you can count, which you know it's there exactly. Uncountable means which you are not sure of. Okay, for us to understand, let us look at the example. I would like some water, please. Remember here, water is uncountable. So we put the word some so that it will justify the, uh, the noun water in this sentence. Next, I would like some mangoes, please. But in this second sentence, we see that mangoes are countable nouns. But remember, when we add some, so we can talk of 3 or 4 or 5 or even 100. So we are not sure which is uncountable. Next, let us look at examples of any. Are there any tomatoes on the shelf? Okay, so remember here, tomatoes are countable nouns. You can count them 3 or 4. But if you add the word any, it becomes uncountable. Same thing goes with the fourth example. Is there any sugar left in the jar? Remember, sugar is uncountable. So if you put the word any before a noun sugar, so it can be used both as countable and uncountable noun. In the next, we have both are used when the exact number of a noun is not known. Okay, so according to the examples on top, if for example you do not know how many mangoes are there, so you can use there are some mangoes, or you can use there are many mangoes on the tree, all those things, okay, which you are not sure of. And the last one, both can be used in interrogative sentence. We've already done this. Interrogative is nothing but question kind of sentence. Let's look at the example. Would you like some sugar in your tea? Have you got any friends in this town? Okay, so remember, sugar here is uncountable. Friends can be countable or uncountable. It depends on how you use both some and any. Now that we know how to use the word some and any, let us see what are the differences between these two words. Number one, some is used in affirmative sentences. For example, I have some milk in the refrigerator. So in this example, it says it is used in affirmative sentence. Affirmative sentence is nothing but positive sentence which you are sure of. Okay, the example says I have some milk in the refrigerator. So this guy or this person, he knows that there's a milk in the refrigerator, but he doesn't know how much. He's not sure, uncountable. So what does he say? I have some milk. He knows that there's a milk there, but he knows that it's some, maybe 1 liter, half cup, all those things. Next, any is used in negative sentences. So negative sentences means when you are not sure, when you cannot say the exact answer. Okay, for example, I don't have any milk in the refrigerator. So don't here is nothing but a negative word. Okay. Okay, so I don't have any milk in the refrigerator means it talks about same thing, uncountable milk. Okay, noun is here, the milk here is noun, but talks about negative in a negative sense. Going down, we have much and many. Very easy. Many is used for countable nouns. For example, I have many friends. So if someone asks you, do you have friends? You can say, yes, I have many friends. But in your mind, you have already counted them. Next, we have a much. Much is used for uncountable nouns, just the opposite of the first one. For example, there wasn't much water in the pool. So water is uncountable, and if you look at the sentence, it is written there wasn't. Remember, if there's n apostrophe t, not, not, all those things are nothing but negative sentences. So when there's a negative sentence, negative word in a sentence, so it is mostly uncountable nouns. Next we have little, a little, the little. So let us look at the first one, little. It is like almost none. Okay, little is almost a negative adjective. So it's like when someone asks you, do you have anything, you say I have little. That means it's like you do not have anything left with you. Next one, a little. What does it mean? A little means at least some. So you have some amount. Okay, so if someone is asking you for water, you can say yes, I have a little sip of water, or you can say I have a little amount of water. Next, the little. The little is nothing but the whole, though very little. Okay, maybe you just have two pieces of pani puri left, or you just have two pieces of roti left. It's very less, but it is the whole of it. Okay, so you can call it the little. Okay, let's look at the example for all the three. The first one, we have little food to feed everybody. Okay, so it is not enough, but they have little food, there is food. Okay, next, so a little food would mean a lot. So maybe just one bowl, or maybe just one small plate of rice with salt. Okay, so it's called a little. Next, we have finished the little food I had. So no matter how small that amount is, maybe in just a small tiffin or all those things. Okay, so what happened is we have finished the little food. So whatever food that is left here, it is being finished even though it is there. So it describes about all the three in a very different way. Next we have few, a few, the few. So let's look at the first one. Few means not many. Okay, a few means at least some. The few means all of them, though very few. So the same idea goes with the first one. Let's look at the example. Few students were present on Saturday. Remember, all these things are uncountable. Okay, next, a few students came after lunch. Next, the few who came also left home early. So all these things talk about which is very less, but they are there to, to be seen. If you go down there, we have elder, eldest, older, oldest. This is a very interesting topic. Elder and eldest are only used to refer to person, whereas older and oldest are used to refer to both person and thing. Okay, so in order to understand that, let us look at the examples. The example says, she is the elder of the two sisters. Okay, so here elder can be used for person, for someone that is among your family. Next, this is the older of the two buildings. So older is used usually for objects or non-living things. Next, sometimes it is said that elder and eldest should be reserved for seniority within a family, while older and oldest should be used only for people who are not a part of the family. So it is very clear, elder and eldest can be used only within a family, and that also referring to someone that is older than you. Next, older and oldest, they can be used for people who are not part of your family. They do not belong to your family, they are not your uncle, your auntie, etc. Let's look at the example. The money was inherited by the eldest brother. So the money which is among the family, it was inherited by the eldest brother. So this sentence is correct. Why? Because it is among the family. But the next sentence, the money was inherited by the oldest brother, is incorrect. Why? Because you're referring to someone that is inside your own family. So you cannot use the word oldest. Another example, Manisha is the oldest student of the class. Okay, in this sentence, we see that we are using the word oldest. Why? Because Manisha is not part of your family. Okay, so you can use the word older or oldest in any of the sentences. Manisha is the eldest student of the class. Again, here we see that we are using eldest, and since Manisha is not part of the family, we're still using the word eldest. Why is the difference here? It means that you're talking about in a group. Okay, so when you're talking in a group, so among the group there you kind of form like a family. So among them, among all of in a group, the eldest one refers to Manisha. Next, when we use the words older and oldest, we usually use to talk about the age of a person or an object. For example, the flag was hoisted by the oldest member of the group. Kalpana is 2 years older than her sister. So we can use these two words to talk about the age of a person. Either they're older, they're the oldest one. Okay, so you can, when you're talking about someone's age, you can use this. Next we have later, latter, latest, last. Okay, let us start with the last one. Last is fairly used to understand. It's fairly easy to understand. By putting it simply, it is the opposite of first. Okay, for example, he came last at the badminton tournament. She was the last to arrive for dinner. So even in your class, who is the last roll number? So that can be used as an example. Next, it can also be used to discuss time in the past. So whatever you have done, maybe you spend your holiday with your grandparents, you spend your holiday somewhere out of the state. Okay, so you can use the word last to describe what happened in the past. Let us look at the example. I went to Shanghai last week. Last month, she went to summer school. So you can talk about what happened, the events that have happened long back by using the word last. Next, we have the word letter. Now let's take a look at letter. It can be used to describe something occurring near the end or belonging to the final stage. Okay, so we have to understand that it is talking something about that is coming to an end, almost reaching the final stage. For example, fashion became more colorful in the latter half of the decade. Okay, for you all to understand what you mean by letter, it means, for example, mm, by the end of October and November, before we finish this year, that is known as letter. Okay, next, it can be used it can also be used to refer to the last item in a series. Okay, so we can use the word letter to refer to talk about the last item in the series. For example, 1 2 3 4 5. So the last item in the series is 5, so you're referring to 5. Okay, let's look at the example. Anu, there are so many different opinions on the book. Some people say that the film was good, some say it was great, and some say it was horrible. Vijay, I agree with the latter. Okay, so what does he mean by agree with the latter? This means that Vijay agrees with people who think that the book was horrible. So he agrees with the last that is in the series. There is a good, there's great, and there is horrible. So he agrees with the latter one, that is the last in the series, that is horrible. Next we have latest. So latest means most recent. Okay, it is often used to describe news. For example, if you want to hear to the latest news, we're using the word latest. Okay, next let us go to the last one, that is called nearest, next. Okay, very easy to understand. Nearest is used for place. So when you're talking of somewhere you want to go or a place you want to go, you use the word nearest. It is used to refer to people or things which are most near in space. Okay, for example, excuse me, where is the nearest hospital? Okay, so you're referring to a people or a place or a thing that is nearest near you. Next we have the nearest railway station is 2 kilometers away. The last one is called next. Next is used to talk about time or position in a series. It means after this, that one. Okay. For example, you have visited a beautiful place, you want to come back. So what do you use? You use a position. Next time. It can be after 5 years, it can be after 1 year. Okay, you're talking about it in for a time being. Maybe the next time you come, all those things. Let's look at the example. We will get off at the next station. So it talks about a position, the next station. Next, we are looking forward to your next visit. So today he visited. So the next time he visit, this call about time. The last example, as soon as he finished one project, he started planning the next. So it talks about a series. One project is done, he'll start the next project, all those things. Let's look at the next sentence. Next can be used for place in a few fixed expressions, meaning nearest in space. The most common expression of this kind are next door and next to. Remember, we can use the word next if you want to describe about a place. For example, you have someone living opposite of your house. You can say as next door or next to. Okay, let's look at the example. The boy next door is a little careless about his studies. Who is sitting near to Peter? Sorry, who is sitting next to Peter? So all these examples, it talks about where can you use the word next or nearest. Okay, I hope you have understood about the examples, the meaning of adjective, its kinds, okay, the degrees of how you compare adjectives and all those things. As for the exercises, it will be given in PDF form in the school website. I hope you have learned a lot. Thank you.